Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna to everybody. So let me pull up my document and we'll get started. Okay. Om Agyanatimirandhasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Manojavam Marutatulya Begam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtham Vatatmajam Vanarayutha Mukhyam Shri Ramadutam Shirasa Namami Apadam Apahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Shri Ramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham Dakshine Lakshmano Yasya Vame Cha Janakatmaja Purato Marutir Yasya Tam Vande Raghunandanam. Welcome back for another session of Shri Ramayana. Now, previously when Shurpanaka had some interaction with Sri Ramachandra, there was a little joking and sort of light moments. So in a Mahakavya plus Sri Ramachandra, both reasons being Rasa Murti, Akhila Rasamrita Murti, Hasya Rasa has to be part of his character because all rasas have to reside in him. And because the opportunity is such that it has the room for Hasya Rasa, he cannot have Hasya type of exchanges with the great sages, because in the presence of Sutikshana, Sharabhanga, and the hundreds and hundreds of sages, because absolute truth is spoken there, it does not necessarily facilitate humorous exchanges. Not that there isn't humor, but not this kind. The moment it comes into Madhurya Rasa, then there is room for banter. And because Shurpanaka had approached in that mode of conjugal desire, there is room for joking. Now, there were other questions that were asked, more from discussion. Varshana had asked, and I got some emails about as well, as to why this kind of almost put down of Shurpanaka by calling her Virupakshi, Mahodari, pot-bellied, etc. So here are a few more things that over the past 2 weeks I've been contemplating on, and hopefully this adds some insight, some further insight. So first of all, the sages in Dandakaranya did something that is similar to what Shurpanaka did. Now, Shurpanaka approached Ramachandra with a lusty conjugal desire, but she had made one mistake. she did not approach Ramachandra through Sita Devi, which is the very basis of spiritual evolution. We cannot approach Krishna without Srimati Radharani's favor. We cannot approach Radharani without Gaur-Nitai's favor or without Lord Chaitanya's favor, and that is not possible without Lord Nityananda's favor. So she did not approach Lakshmana, she did not approach Sita Devi, she approached Ramachandra directly, and that's not the prescribed method. Even the sages of Dandakaranya approached Ramachandra first. And one of the reasons why Ramachandra did not fight any of the demons up until this point is because although the sages appealed and although he said, I would, unless Sita Devi personally worshipped the weapons and handed over to Ramachandra, this pastime or unfolding of the Leela doesn't happen. So this medium is very necessary. So that's one. Second, as far as joking, of course, hasya rasa has to be involved. And as I said, in that conjugal exchange, there is room for such banter. And in Krishna's Leela, we find Lalita, Vishakha, Radharani, pretty much almost insulting Krishna, seemingly insulting Krishna, but it's all part of this banter. Even the friends of Krishna decry Krishna. Oh, you're not strong enough. Look at me. I'm stronger than you. It's all part of that banter of Sakhya Rasa. Now, someone asked, why did Ramachandra send Shurpanaka towards Lakshmana when he was already married? So there are two reasons. One, Lakshmana did not take the vow of being Eka Patni Vrata like Ramachandra did. So Lakshmana technically could have more than one wife, just the way Dasarath Maharaj had more than one and Krishna had 16,108. It was accepted at that time. Second, and more importantly, or there's a third reason. Second and importantly is Ramachandra is showing Shurpanaka that you cannot approach the Supreme Lord without the grace of the spiritual master or the internal potency. They first seek permission there. However, she was not going to Lakshmana to seek permission. The third exposure of what was happening here is Ramachandra is showing us the shallowness of Shurpanaka's attraction. Someone might say Shurpanaka was so attracted to Ramachandra in Madhurya Rasa, but that attraction is very shallow. It is shallow because it is mixed with her own selfishness in it. It's not Anyabhilashita Shunya. It is not Anukulyena either, and it is not Anushilana. So it's not considered Uttama Bhakti. And the shallowness is, as soon as he said, hey, how about Lakshmana? She looked at Lakshmana and said, oh yeah, he's equally powerful. He is equally good looking. If not Rama, then Lakshmana is okay. So one of the essential qualities for being accepted by the Lord is what we say Krishna Eka Sharanam, that the exclusivity, that Ramachandra or Krishna, you and no one else. Now, when Shurpanaka compares Lakshmana, she's not thinking of Lakshmana as the medium through which to approach Ramachandra. It is like people getting attracted to other demigods or equating the Supreme Lord with other demigods and saying, oh, this one okay, that one okay, Monday this one, Tuesday that one. They're not all equal. And for her, it didn't matter whether it was, if it's not Ramachandra, then Lakshmana, as long as my desire is being met. So she wanted to enjoy the Lord or enjoy the Lord's pure devotee instead of serving. So a question to consider is, do I have the tendency to enjoy the presence of the Lord and enjoy the presence of the pure devotees? The only distinguishing feature of the sages of Dandakaranya, in contrast to Shurpanaka, is the sages said, Nagarasthova, Vanusthova, Twamno Rajaha. Whether we are in the city or you're in the city or you're in the forest, you are exclusively our Raja, our master, no one else. That exclusivity is what attracted Ramachandra to them and them to Ramachandra. Then another reason, Valmiki makes such almost polar opposite contrast or comparison between Ramachandra and Shurpanaka. In the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna puts side by side the divine and the demoniac qualities and very explicitly details them out. Similarly, Valmiki does the same. He juxtaposes Ramachandra and Shurpanaka. Now, this is a Vedic method. You're supposed to put Sat and Asat side by side, juxtaposition. And this is also spoken by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. Ubhayor abhidrushtavantaha. Nasate vidyate bhavo. Na bhavo vidyate asataha. So Sat and Asat are always supposed to be studied side by side. That's what Ishopanishad also says. Vidya and avidya, or anything spiritual and material, are meant to be kept side by side and studied carefully. So that's what he's doing. He's actually performing an Upanishadic or Vedic activity, juxtaposing spirit and matter, juxtaposing Sat and Asat, because that is how we are supposed to look. When you are comparing something, a genuine versus imitation, you're supposed to look at them side by side so you can compare. And in his exposition, Valmiki is identifying Shurpanaka's demonic qualities. The demonic qualities are, he calls her Virupakshi, that her eyes are crooked, and Ramachandra as Vishalaksha. Vishala Aksha, broad, big eyes. And the broad, big eyes are generally represent the broad-heartedness or the ability to give shelter, the ability to feel compassion for anybody and everybody. But Virupakshi, crookedness in vision, is to think, my friend, my enemy. These are mine, these are not mine. I like them, I don't like them. This is Virupakshi. Like we say, Brahmanas have far-sightedness. So the eyes represent the kind of vision, equal, accommodating, compassionate vision of Ramachandra, Vishalaksha. Then Ramachandra is said to be speaking sweetly, while her voice and style of speech is Bhairava Svana, very displeasing and fear-generating way of speech. That means when Ramachandra speaks, he speaks from scripture. He speaks within the boundaries of dharma, and he speaks in a way that feels like a balm to the heart. When Shurpanaka speaks, it is anything and everything. There is no Shruti Smriti Puranadi, Pancharatriki Vidhim Vina, Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir, Utpata Eva Kalpate, according to Rupa Goswami. That someone's bhakti, if it is not within the boundaries of Shruti, Smriti, and Purana, then such bhakti is Utpata Eva. It is only disturbing. It creates Utpata. It creates the sense of anarchy and disharmony. So that is why they are juxtaposed like that. Now, I'm going to hopefully drop a cliffhanger here or to keep the interest. Contrast this with when Hanuman sees Sita Devi in Ashokavana, he also compares Ramachandra and Sita Devi side by side. But I'm not going to tell you the verses right away. You have to wait till the end because I want to move the story forward. Let's see if we can get to it. So meanwhile, here's what happened in Aranyakanda. Because Hasya Rasa and now the Virya Rasa is going to begin. Because Shurpanaka is going to go to Khara and complain about Ramachandra and Lakshmana. And the words of Khara, although sound very much in Virya Rasa, for us devotees, it is full of Hasya Rasa. Hasya because Khara's bombastic and completely idiotic chest thumping about his greatness in front of Sri Ramachandra is nothing but humorous. It's a joke. Just the way Paundraka had pasted 2 arms with Shankha and Chakra and came in front of Krishna and Balaram and other assembly of persons and said, "You are not Vasudeva, I am the real Vasudeva. See my 4 arms." Krishna turned to Balaram and they just burst out laughing. Although he had come in Virya Rasa. Of course, he found a Virya Rasa solution, yet it is almost humorous. So this is Khara. And because I grew up, unfortunately, with Bollywood, I was reminded, unfortunately, so I'm going to share with you part of the humor is the famous set of conversations that I'm sure when I say it, you'll remember. If not, good, you're very pious people if you don't remember it. But some of us may have some impious background. I have a lot. When the villain turns to the smaller villains and says, "Kitne aadmi the? Do sarkar." Remember that one? So similarly, Shurpanaka will also be asked, "Kitne aadmi the?" So here's what happens when Shurpanaka comes with her nose and ears cut off and drenched in blood. She runs up to Khara and falls on the ground. Tam, that is Shurpanaka, tam tatha patitam društva virupam shonitokshitam bhaginim krodha santaptah karaha prapacha rakshasa. This Rakshasa Khara, we're being introduced to Khara, who's a Rakshasa. Prapacha inquired, like frantically inquired, when he saw his sister Bhaginim, Patitam Drashtva Virupam. He saw her fallen on the ground, completely disfigured. And Shonitokshitam. Shonita is blood. Ukshitam is drenched. Drenched in blood. And he said, "Uttishtha, get up. Tavadakhyahi pramoham jahi sambhramam. Vyaktam akhyahi kena tomevam rupa virupita." So he said, "Uttishtha, get up. And tavadakhyahi, tell me immediately. Tell me urgently. And give up any kind of bewilderment. Pramoham jahi sambhrama. Just give up any hesitation, any reservation. Vaktam akhyahi. Speak clearly. Kena, who? Tameva rupa. You're such a pretty looking Rakshasi. Virupita, who has disfigured you like this?" And then Khara now starts chest thumping. Kaha Krishna Sarpam Asiman Avishamanagasah. He says, who is this? Whoever is this person is foolish. He says, Tudatyabhi Sampanna Angulik Agrena Leelaya. Who is this fool who has literally poked a black cobra for the sake of playing with it. Right? If someone foolishly pokes at a cobra, what happens? Person's going to die. So Khara is comparing himself with a black cobra, and whoever did this to Shurpanaka as a foolish person who has provoked such a cobra. And he says, Kaha Kalapasham Samajasya. Who's this person who has put the noose of time around his neck, meaning committing suicide? Kantena Mohan Buddhyate. Who is this such a person? Yastvamadya Samasadya Pitavan Visham Uttamam. Ha! Who's this fellow who has knowingly drunk the best or the worst, the deadliest of poison? And he says, Balavikrama Sampanna Kamagaha Kamarupini Imam Vastham Nita Tvam Kenantaka Samagata. You, Shurpanaka, are Bala. You have great strength. Vikrama, you have great prowess. And Sampanna Kamagaha, you can go anywhere you wish and desire. Nobody can stop you. Kama Rupini, you can take any form you'd like. Another way of Kama Rupini means your embodiment of lust. Imam Avasthanita Tvam, who has brought you to this condition? Kena Antaka Samagata. Someone has invited the god of death, Antaka, to his door. And he says, I don't think it is anyone among Deva, Gandharva, Bhutanam, Rushinam, cha Mahatmanam. I don't see this is possible by the demigods, the Gandharvas, any other ghostly elements, or the rishis, or the great sages. It's not possible because none of them will provoke you. They're all afraid of you and me. Then he says, Ko ayameva virupam tvam mahaviryash chakaraha. So who is such a valiant person? When they ask who is such a valiant person among the demigods, Gandharvas, it means such a person does not exist. It's a way of asking or way of proclaiming. And then he says, Nahi pashyamaham loke yaha kuryan mama vipriyam amareshu sahasraksham mahendram pakashasanam. I don't see who can offend me. In fact, not even Indra. Amareshu sahasraksham. The Indra who has 1,000 eyes among the demigods, he's not the one who can, as they say in Hindi, mujhse panga lena. Mahendra, even Lord Shiva will not come. Or Pakashasanam. Pakashasanam is Indra, who had killed the demon Paka. So he says, Adyaham margenaihi pranadasyai jivitantakaihi salile kshiramasaktam nishpibinnav sarasaha. He says, just like swans can separate milk from water, my arrows will now drain or separate the blood from such a person's body. Right now, Adya aham marganehi, by my weapons. Nihattasya maya shankhe. Okay. He says, whose foamy red blood will this earth drink today while I shoot arrows into their vital organs? Is there any person like that? Such a person's death has just arrived. They have invited death. And whose death, whose body today is going to be lunch for vultures? When I want to see that body being torn and bitten by vultures, when that person is going to die in battle by me. And when I attack such a person, neither the gods, na tam na deva, na gandharva, na pishacha, na rakshasa, maya prakrushta kripanaha shaktastatum mahahave. When I kill such a person, nobody will come to such a person's rescue. Not the gods, not the demigods, na gandharvas, na pishacha, the rakshasas or the ghosts or the rakshasas. Nobody can come and protect them or help them. Upalabhya shanai sangyahatam me shamsitumarhasi yena tvam durvinetena vane vikramya nirjita. Now you tell me slowly, as your consciousness comes back, well, you are now figuring out how you're going to answer this question. I want to know who has overpowered you like this. When Shurpanaka heard this, she gathered some strength and she spoke. Now, generally what we might assume is that when someone has been, whose nose has been cut off, ears have been cut off, they're in severe pain and they're angry, they're crying, generally they will say some negative words about such a person. But Shurpanaka's lusty attraction, or let's say just attraction for the moment, is so strong that even in that pain of being cut off, I got my finger cut yesterday by scissors. It still pains when I touch it. Imagine being cut off with the nose and ears by a sharp sword by Lakshmana. Instead of saying those are bad fellows, she speaks the most glorious verses, completely enamored by love. And she says, these are famous verses. In fact, these are worshipable verses. And these are verses that offer great meditation about Ramachandra and Lakshmana Dev. Tarunau Rupa Sampannau Sukumarau Mahabalo Pundarika Vishalaksho Chira Krishna Jinambaro Phalamula Sinaudanto Tapasau Brahmacharino Putrau Dasarathas Sastam Bhratarau Rama Lakshmanau. So in Sanskrit, where au comes, is talking about two. And the acharyas gave many explanations for this, which is what I'm going to try and attempt. So I might go a little fast, but I really am very eager for us to hear it. So Tarunau means very young, youthful. Rupa Sampannau, endowed with great beauty and endowed with great form. Very perfectly proportioned shoulders, neck, forehead, ears, chin, jaws, chin, nose, everything so exquisite. And although they seem very the way they are, Sukumara, they seem very delicate, that if you touch, it feels like they will wilt. But don't get mistaken, Mahabala, they're very strong. Now, how does she know they're very strong? She's experienced Lakshmana's very swift movement by her nose and ear being cut off, but their broad shoulders and marks of the bowstring on their arm, and they're carrying these fascinating weapons with them. Pundarika Vishalaksha, white, the eyes, there is the black iris, right, or eyeball, and then there is the white part, Pundarika, they're like white lotus petals. Vishalaksha and Chira Krishna Jinambarao. They are wearing jute dhotis and the skin of deer upon themselves. And they're walking around in the forest like ascetics, eating. And I can tell they're like ascetics because from their body, I can figure out they've been only eating fruits and berries and tubers. Phala moola sinav. Asinav means to eat. Phala moola. That's all they're eating. Dantav. Their senses are very controlled. How does she know? Because with the precision with which Lakshmana cut off her nose and ears is of the hands of one who's very skillful, which means that their senses are very much controlled. Tapasav, they're dressed like ascetics. Dharmacharinav, because the way Lakshmana treated her by not touching her or grabbing her or groping her, just by the pinky finger, some commentators say, Dharmacharinav. Plus Ramachandra did not violate his relationship with Sita. Putrav, Dasharathav, Astam. They are Dasharatha's sons. And Bhratarav, their brothers, and their names are Rama Lakshmana. Rama and Lakshmana. This is her report back to Khara. Now one may say, what is so important about these set of verses? So we know in Valmiki Ramayana, anything that begins with ta has great significance. That's how Ramayana begins, remember? And then there is Sundara Kanda also begins with ta, because the Gayatri Mantra, Tat Savitur, has to begin. So Tarunao, anything that begins with ta, we should understand, has an important meaning here. Now, from Tattva Deepika commentary, there is some reference to Khara's past life, Khara and Dushana, but we'll come to that another time. Let's get to what's going on here. Khara said, who mutilated you? And Shurpankhaka should have just said, some Dasharatha, some two sons, Rama and Lakshmana. Right? But she narrated a whole other way. Right? This description of hers actually has three meanings or three purposes, you might say. One is through the eyes of a very lustful and yearning female who's attracted to Ramachandra and Lakshmana. So I'll describe how each of the words, you can see it from the eyes of a lusty woman. The second purpose is to belittle Rama and Lakshmana so that Khara's pride can become fed well. That, oh, if I can kill Devas and Gandharvas, who are these two human beings? She has to fuel Khara's pride. And the third is to insult Khara, because Kshatriyas and Rakshasas don't like insults. And when they are insulted, then their anger increases. Their pride becomes even more bombastic. So the idea is that she wants Khara to fight with Rama and Lakshmana. So there are three purposes or meanings. So let's take the first one, through the eyes of a lusty woman or a lusty person, if how she says. When she's asked, who did this to you? Her mind goes to their youthful nature, right? Because there is a famous set of famous verse where when it says, when it comes to marriage, there is a whole family. So there is the bride, there is the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, and the relatives. And each one of them is looking for a different thing in the groom. So the Sanskrit goes something like Kanya Varayate Rupam. For the young woman or young girl, or even for the groom for the matter, the idea is the fellow looking good or not? The mother-in-law, the father-in-law wants to know, Kamata kitna hai? How much does he earn? And the mother-in-law wants to know what family he comes. The friends and relatives want to know what family he comes from, and friends all want to know, hey, what's the menu going to be like? So from Shurpanaka's side, she's like Tarunau. The first thing she remembers is, oh, very youthful, very good looking, Tarunau. Both Rama and Lakshmana. Now, why both of them? Well, first she saw Ramachandra, then he sent her to her, and she's like, oh, he's also equally good looking. And in Ramayana, we hear that Ramachandra and Lakshmana, you can't distinguish much. The only way to distinguish is that Lakshmana is serving Ramachandra. Otherwise, both are very similarly powerful and endowed. So the phrase in Ramayana is Anyonya Sadrishau Virau. Anyonya is they're very much alike. Sadrishau Virau. They're so powerful that they're very much alike. So for most people, Rama and Lakshmana appear as one entity. Then she says, Rupa Sampanna. Oh, they have such ravishing forms. So the god of love, Cupid, what he does is he shoots these arrows into one's heart such that one becomes very attracted to the external forms of their mate. That is how it is meant to be. So in Ramayana, we hear that Ramachandra's form, Niratishaya, Atishaya, Rupa Samriddhi. Very, very, in fact, in front of Ramachandra, Cupid walks away out of shame. Then she says, Sukumaro. They're very delicate like flowers. Because we hear Ramachandra's eyes are described in terms of beauty and delicateness, that Asita Pushpa Samaksham, that his eyes are something that everybody can cherish, all living entities. Then she also says Sukumaro. There is another meaning for Sukumaro. Mara is another name for Cupid in Sanskrit. Mara. Now, Maro because he was killed by Lord Shiva. And Su, we know in Sanskrit means very as a prefix or excellent. Ku is the prefix used for Mother Earth. That's why we call small children Kumara. They're very beautiful, but they are crawling and they beat the earth with their hands and knees and toes. So they're called Kumara. So of the earth. So when she says Sukumaro, it means that, oh, Ramachandra and Lakshmana are the transcendental, the original Cupids who have come or descended on the earth. The word is Kandarpa. What do we say when we chant the beauty, when we chant about the beauty of Krishna? Kandarpa Koti, Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham. Koti Kandarpa. Even they are enchanted by and sort of embarrassed to stand next to Krishna because the beauty cannot be compared. So Sukumaro. Then Khara may say, if they're so delicate to boys, why should we care? So she warns him, they may look delicate, but Mahabala, they are very, very strong. They have this Veera to such a degree that it can never become withered by age. As a person becomes older, they become weaker. They don't have the same strength. But Mahabala means that they will not become weak by age. Therefore, we say Navayauvanaha. And she is a very aged demon. So she recognized, like, oh, yeah, I'm old, but these guys very young. Then Pundarika Vishalaksho, white lotus-like broad, lotus petal-like broad eyes. So she says, their eyes are not like our eyes. Our eyes are always considered samrakta nayana ghora. Our eyes are bloodshot. So they're not pleasing to look at. A bloodshot because the Rakshasa's eyes are always looking for tamoguna, blood, to eat away flesh, not their eyes. Their eyes are white because the white represents purity, it represents calmness and good taste. So the white actually represents the whiteness of the milk ocean, which is the place or shelter for all living beings to achieve that ocean, or what it means to achieve the spiritual world. Now, it also means Mahabalau Pundarika Vishalaksha. If you add the Mahabalau as an adjective to their eyes, they are not only Vishala and Pundarika, but they're also Mahabala. Very mighty eyes. And the might of those eyes is just by looking at an evildoer, just by looking at someone's wickedness, Sri Ramachandra and Lakshmana can dissolve any wickedness in the heart. And the glance of their eyes can take a person from the lowest of lowest conditions of tamoguna into the highest and highest conditions of sattva guna. That is why we say kripavalokam. Oh my dear Lord, please glance at me mercifully, because that is the power of the Supreme Lord's glance. Just one glance and one can be relieved. Okay. So Mahabala Pundarika Vishalaksha. There's so much more. Let me skip that part and now go to she. Now she's going to speak diminutively about Rama and Lakshmana to incite Khara's pride in him. So just in case, if she's going to speak about Rama and Lakshmana in a very great way, Khara could get scared, like, oh really? Have I met my match today? So I'm now afraid, and but by that fear, Khara may not go and fight with Rama and Lakshmana. So her reply is to tell Khara, what is there to be afraid? You're such a mighty demon. वो तो बच्चे हैं, तरुणाओं. They're very young. They're boys. You are a mighty demon. There's sons of Dasharatha. They're little boys. They are not capable of fighting. That just as Dasharatha had said to Vishwamitra, Un Shodasho Varsho mein Ramam Rajiva Lochana. He's not fit to fight these demons. So she says, they're very young, very, very young. In fact, they're so young that they may have just playfully done something. They cannot fight you. Then she says, Rupa Sampanna. Oh, they may be good looking, but they don't have what it takes to fight you. Sukumara, they're very delicate, flimsy. If you do like that, they might actually get hurt. So don't be afraid, Khara. Go ahead. Let's go. You can tear apart their flesh and have great lunch. And then she says, Mahabalo. So here's the beauty of Sanskrit. In Nectar of Instruction, we hear Rupa Goswami tell us the 6 things that debilitate or weaken one's bhakti. Collecting more than necessary. Oh God, my memory. Prajalpo Niyamagraha. What's the first word?
Atyahara.
Atyahara. Thank you. Atyahara. Prayashascha Prajalpo Niyamagraha. And the word Niyamagraha has two meanings, niyama agraha or niyama agraha. Niyama agraha means holding very tightly to rules and regulations. And niyama agraha means rejecting rules and regulations. And he says both are dangerous for bhakti. Similarly here, mahabalav means very, very strong. But it also can mean maha-abalav. They're very weak. They have no strength. Why? Because they are sukumarav. They are tarunav. Maha-abalav. Mahati rakshaniya abala yoyostu. That maha-abalav, because between them is a very delicate, weak woman also. Either way, it refers to Sita between them or that they are maha-abalav. And then she says, Pundarika Vishalaksha. Pundarika, white. So Pandu got the name so because his mother became pale when she saw Vyasadev. So Pundarika means, oh Khara, when you stand in front of them, you and your demons, they out of fear, their eyes will become pale. The eyes will lose any form of charm or strength in it. And Vishalaksha, their eyes will become broad out of fear when they see you. Pundarika Vishalaksha. Okay, so they're actually not your match. And Chira Krishna Jinambaro, they're wearing jute cloth, deer skin. They don't have armors. They cannot afford an army. They're some, forest dwellers. They're not some great warriors. So nothing for you to worry. They're just going from one place to another. Tapasav, moving from one place, one location to another location. Very nomadic. In fact, when they see you, they will beg you to spare them. Then the third is to deride Khara. In one say, you're no match for them. So when a Kshatriya is told you're no match, then he's like, what? How can you insult me? I will show you what my power is. So she says, Tarunau. Okay. So the Sanskrit phrase is Tarunau Yauvane Vijigi Shunam, means the young boys or young men are very interested in tussle. They like to wrestle with each other. They're eager to fight because they like to win. If you put boys together, you'll find that mostly they will wrestle and fight with each other as part of their expression of youthful pride. They like to triumph over the other. So she says, Rupa Sampannav. So the Sanskrit phrase in the commentary says, Asadharana Niratishaya Rupa Visheshatvat. That they have unimaginable stands. When they stand with their bow and arrow and the sword, they look like mighty, fantastic warriors, Tarunav, youthful and ready to fight. Are you ready, Khara? Can you do it? In fact, with that stance, they finished Tataka. They finished Subahu. In fact, Ramachandra said, Gatva Saumitri Sahito Na Vijitya Evartate. This is statement of Lakshmana, that wherever Ramachandra goes, he never returns without being victorious. Gatva Saumitri Sahito, whenever Ramachandra goes with Lakshmana, Na Vijitya Evartate, cannot return without, or never returns without being victorious. In fact, in Kishkinda Kanda, Tara will also say, Yashaha cha eka bhajanam, that for Ramachandra, even glory, Yashaha, takes resort in him. Remember, 6 opulences. Of one of them is Yashaha. He has complete Yasha. In fact, he's the source of Yashaha. Right? So, in fact, they are so powerful, Khara. I don't think you should go fight them. Then if Khara says, you know how strong I am, how can they be my match? She says, Sukumaro. Now, Sukumaro we thought meant delicate, but Sukumaro means very dexterous. In fact, they are so dexterous in their fighting that they will eliminate you. Khara. I know for a fact because Lakshmana, as soon as I was rushing towards Sita Devi, just by one word, Lakshmana so quickly pulled out his sword and cut off my nose and ears. They're very, very dexterous. Don't go there. Then she says, Mahabalo, very, very strong. Mahabalo. Their shoulders are so curved strongly that you're no match to them. The word Mahat tells how great they are. They're very sturdy. Now, that also refers that Balau are used in two as a pair. So Ramachandra and Lakshmana have 2 Balas with them. Vishwamitra had given them Bala and Atibala. Both these Balas are with them. So when she says Mahabalau, it also refers that they have the knowledge of Bala and Atibala. By Bala and Atibala, their weapons will never get exhausted. They themselves will never get exhausted. They will never get wounded. The wounds will heal. They will never get tired. They will not become thirsty. They will not become hungry while they are fighting. And the 50 weapons of this type and 50 weapons of that type will manifest as soon as they are called. Pundarika Vishalaksha, their white lotus petal like broad eyes. So their eyes are always open, which means they are fearless. Because when someone gets afraid, the tendency is to close our eyes. So she says, Pundarika Vishalaksha. There is no fear, there is no shame, there is no anxiety, and they will never close their eyes like that. Another way that they will never close their eyes means any divine personality is called animisha. They never blink. So you'll see if you ever see any demigod by their grace, first way to find out is their feet will not touch the ground and they will never blink. And Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna, Ramachandra are also animisha. They never blink. The living entities have to blink. And by that blinking, it is an indicator that there is a jiva in the body. The dead body never blinks. But the Supreme Lord has no death. So there is no need for blinking. Then he may say, oh, really? Are they ready for a fight? You think so? And she says, Chira Krishna Jinambaro. They are wearing jute cloth and deer skin. That means they've already tightened their girdle. They've tightened their waistcloth. When Krishna and Balaram reach Mathura and they have to fight with Chanura and Mushtika, the verse specifically said, Krishna tightened his waistcloth. I think that's where there. And also when he had to jump in to fight Kalia, this is, I think the verse says Krishna tightened his waistcloth. So Chira Krishna Jinambara, they have tightened their girdle cloths, waist cloths, and they are shielded in deer skin. And they are ready. They have arrows, knives, daggers, swords, and they will slit your throat, cut off your ears and nose, maybe like they did mine. So I'm telling you, Khara, don't go. Just sit here, just listen to the story I'm narrating to you. And then Shurpanaka says, they seem like kings because they have royal insignia on their body. And I was not able to figure out whether they're actually human beings or some gods that have descended from a higher realm. And then she says, I saw between them a very young, beautiful lady. Even for Sita, she says, Taruni Rupa Sampanna, Sarvabharana Bhushita. Taruni, very young, Rupa Sampanna, beautiful, Sarva Abharana Bhushita. She's decorated with ornaments. Drashtva Tatra Maya Nari Tayor Madhye Sumadhyama. I saw a very slender waisted woman, Tayor Madhye, in between them. So the beauty of the language, Tayor Madhye Sumadhyama. And she says, and Tabhyam Ubhayam. So between them, both of them, she is like an orphan woman protected by both of them. Now, here is my wish, my dear brother. I wish to drink the blood of that woman. And I want to see both the brothers finished off in battle by you. Can you fulfill my desire? First, you must fulfill my wish that I want to drink her blood and of those two persons. And as she was speaking like that, Khara became inflamed and said, called 14 of his strongest demons. In fact, according to Valmiki, they were as equal, or they were equal to Yamaraj, meaning that they will make sure that person will die. Rakshasant Antaka Upaman. And he says, there are two human beings equipped with weapons and wearing dark clothes and wearing jute clothes and deer skin in Dandaka forest with a woman with them, apparently very beautiful. Forget about the woman. Go right now and finish them. Okay? This sister of mine wants to drink their blood. Go ahead. So these 14 Rakshasas move with great speed and great deliberation. And visually, Valmiki says, iti prati samadishta. Adishta means ordered by or instructed by. Iti prati samadishta means very strictly ordered by Khara. Rakshasaste chaturdashaha. 14 Rakshasas. Tatra jagamastuya. They went in that direction. Sardham ghana vaterita yatha. Just like the mighty winds move these dark, heavy, rain-laden clouds in the sky. Have you ever seen when the big storm is supposed to arrive? Massive conglomeration of clouds overpower the sky. It is scary. So, like that, the 14 demons arrived where the Ramachandra and Lakshmana and Sita Devi were there. It's 10 o'clock. I want to pause and see if there are any questions, comments, thoughts.
Hare Krishna.
Oops.
Hare Krishna. I have just a question. When Shurpanakha is speaking to Khara and describing Ram and Lakshman, in her descriptions of them, there seem to be contradictions. Like they're nomads, but then describing the appearance of royalty, that they're young and presumably not able to put up a fight, but at the same time are very capable or dexterous. So how does, like, it's a little unclear, like how Khara would accept her arguments or descriptions.
So the Khara himself, you know what the meaning of Khara is in Sanskrit. One meaning is, I'm sure the mother named him thinking that he's sharp and dangerous like thorns. Khara means very sharp. But Khara also means an ass or a donkey. So Shurpanakha, what she's saying, our acharyas are extracting or getting these meanings. But for Khara, he wants to be challenged. That's what's going on. Just as when Paundraka speaks these insults, our acharyas will show us that within those insults are actually glorifications. And those glorifications, the demon might not mean it that way, but the acharyas say that even then, it's an indirect way of glorifying. For example, when Duryodhana says, or someone might say, "Oh, Krishna, we don't know what his varna is. Is he Kshatriya? Is he Vaishya? We don't know." In one sense, it's an insult when you tell someone we don't know what your varna is. But from a Vedic perspective, it's a glorification because the Supreme Lord has no varna. He doesn't belong to any material family or designation or varna. He's beyond the varnashram system, like that. So Khara may not be able to decipher all this. Thankfully, our acharyas do. Yashodanandan.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Guru Maharaj. Prabhuji, you were explaining that Surpanakha, she approached Lord Ramachandra, but she did not approach properly, meaning she did not go to Guru, Lakshmana, and also through Mother Sita. And my question is, the sages of Naimisharanya or the forest, when they approached Lord Ramachandra, did they pray or offer their obeisance to Lakshmana and also Mother Sita? Did they approach Lord Rama through that channel?
I mean, I'm sure they offered their blessings, well wishes, etc. to Sita Devi and Lakshmana, no doubt. They are not offenders, they're great devotees. But according to Govinda Raja, their desire cannot be completely fulfilled yet because they did not approach the Lord through Sita Devi. Therefore, we don't chant Krishna's name, we chant Hare Krishna. The idea is, or we say Sri Krishna, Lord and his consort always together, not one without the other. So in their approaching of Sharanagati, they got the mercy of Sita Devi, no doubt, but the approach has to be through her. But only there's very specifically Valmiki says, Sita Devi worshipped the weapons and handed over to Ramachandra. Her mercy is required. Only then anything can happen. He only listens to her. So we have to approach through his internal potency and or the Acharya who then takes us through the internal potency. That's the lesson. Did they offer obeisances and respects? Absolutely.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. There's a question in the chat. I don't know if
Yeah, I didn't read it yet because if there are any persons asking live, then I'll read the chat question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This is Atulya Devidasi.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I was hearing Rama Raksha Stotra.
Hey,
And,
my favorite.
Sorry?
My favorite. Stotra.
Yes, so wonderful. But I hardly know what the meanings are. And also it's written by Buddha Kaushika Muni.
Right.
So who is that Muni, and overall, what is just a summary of, I mean, the name tells it's for protection, but in general, a little bit more detail about what that stotra is.
So Buddha Kaushika Rishi is the name of that person who appears in the Kaushika Gotra. We don't know exactly who it is. His name is Buddha Kaushika. And he says, Adishtavan, Adishta, remember that word, Parita, just now Khara had ordered them. So Adishta means instructed. So Buddha Kaushika says, Adishtavan yatha swapne. In my dream, this Rama Raksha Stotra was instructed to me. By who? Imam Haraha, Lord Shiva, appeared in my dream and instructed me on this Rama Raksha Stotra. Tatha Likhitavan Prataha. Then I wrote it down in the morning. As soon as I got up, I wrote it down. Tatha Likhitavan Prataha. Prabuddho Buddha Kaushikaha. It's written by me, but actually it has come from Lord Shiva. Now in Bhagavatam, there is Narayana Kavacha. Kavacha means an armor to protect one's body. And the reason body is protected is so that the evolution of bhakti within this vehicle can continue. We don't discard the body. Without body, we cannot do bhakti. So there is Narayana Kavacha. Similarly, there is Narasimha Kavacha. So similar, in the same spirit, there is something called Rama Raksha Stotra. Every day, we put tilak to 12 parts of the body, reciting the names of Lord Krishna, Keshavaya Nama, Narayana, Madhava, Govinda, etc. Because these parts of the body are becoming consecrated or purified and also protected, so we can go about our business. So in Narayana Kavacha, Narasimha Kavacha, Rama Raksha Stotra, the different names of the Supreme Lord are associated with different body parts. Okay. May the son of Dasharatha protect my head. Vishwamitra Priya Shruti, may the dear, the one who's very dear to Vishwamitra protect my ears, because Krishna Ramachandra heard instructions from Vishwamitra. Granam Pathu Makatrata, Mukham Saumitri Vatsalaha, Jifwam Vidyanidhi Pathu, Kantham Bharata Vandita, etc. etc. The whole body parts you're supposed to touch, and that particular name of Ramachandra is meant to protect, because those names and body parts have some connection. And then the rest of the stotra is all a glorification of the power of Ramachandra's name, what it does, what benefits one gets, how one gets everything in this world and in the spiritual world, etc. etc.
So how is Lord Shiva, like, telling the Rishi and about Lord Rama? What is that mystery?
Well, Lord Shiva is a great Rama Bhakta. The reason people go to Banaras, Kashi, to give up their body, generally wrongly they think because Lord Shiva resides there. That is true, Lord Shiva resides there. But the reason, actually, in the Vedic understanding, one should give up one's body in Kashi is when one does so, it seems that when a person is taking their last breath, Lord Shiva, Kashi Vishweshwaranath, personally comes and in the ears of such a dying person recites Ramachandra's name. So it's called Taraka Mantra. Therefore, the end of Rama Raksha Stotra is Rama, Rama, Rama iti. Sahasra Nama Tattulyam, Rama Nama Varanane. This is Lord Shiva speaking to Parvati.
I've always heard Lord Shiva as, Vaishnava. I mean, that's Lord Rama too, but it's more in context of Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. But this,
how is that different?
No,
That's not different. Not different at all.
Yes.
He's an amazing, amazing devotee.
Wonderful. Thank you, Prabhu.
You're welcome. Okay. Anything else, or should I read the question that's on the text?
No, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Please extend my humble messages. This is Ramakant. Yeah, I just have a question from the previous class, in which it was mentioned that Lakshmana was stopped Shupranakha, sorry, my bad, just by with a tiny finger. So does that signifies anything, or does the acharyas have given
I explained. Yes. A couple of times I've expressed it, that someone else, some other woman other than one's wife, generally is not touched, especially not with the palms. And if she's attacking, the only way to keep that distance is by the pinky finger. It's as is not touching. Anyway, please don't try that, but it's just that's the proper method. So he does not pollute himself or her by wrongly touching her.
Okay. Just another question regarding, as you mentioned in the previous class, regarding the change of maybe character, if I'm not wrong, after coming to Krishna consciousness, or change of something bad after coming to Krishna consciousness. So how one can self-assess that how one has changed, or like, I mean, how the transformation has taken place before and after.
Are the old habits still there from a physical perspective? Are we using old languages? I know, being with friends, the kind of language we would use and the phrases we would say. Manasa vacha, manasa, the aspirations or desires. We used to go to temple, ring the bell and say, here's a 500 rupee note, and bribe the Supreme Lord or Hanumanji or whoever. Do we still have the same or similar fears or anxieties or selfishness or self-centered desires? Is there any awakening of some sense of feeling for someone else's suffering? Is our conception of God clearer? Are we assisting the Supreme? So there's so many different yardsticks or pointers. Bhakti, has some bhakti awakened in the heart? Para Isha Anubhava, can one feel the presence of the Supreme Lord in one's life? Viraktir Anyatra cha, has there been some sense of, virakti or indifference to material and materialistic things, etc.?
Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Surpanaka, when approached Rama, she changed. When Rama directs her to Lakshmana, she thinks it's okay to even go to Lakshmana. Her love towards Rama was not very pure, or it's lusty. And how is that Lord Krishna blessed her when she was in Kupcha? She was born as Kupcha.
Because of the intensity. It was not anukulya, but it was intense. Why does Ramachandra appear in front of Ravana? Why does Krishna appear in front of Kamsa when great sages cannot see him? One, of course, to protect the devotees, but also that Kamsa's intensity. You've heard the phrase, Kamsa was also Krishna conscious. Prabhupada would use the phrase. He was conscious. She was very conscious. Lord Ramachandra, attracted like anything. But because she didn't approach the right way, she got a crooked body. That crookedness of Kubja, or what's called hunchbacked, is because she didn't approach him properly. And then when Krishna gave her mercy, he straightened her up and she became very beautiful. Because she then actually served Krishna very nicely and sweetly.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And when you are telling about Surpanaka talking to Khara and Dushana, it felt like it was diplomatic. So it reminded me of Duryodhana approaching Dronacharya. And was it similar to that?
I'm not sure diplomacy, but from the grand scheme of things, she wants to make sure that Khara, after Khara, Dushana, Trishira, 14,000, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and the entire 100 million or 100 billion Rakshasas be all finished off. She's playing that instrument for all of that to happen.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Perhaps unknowingly, but she's acting as an instrument there.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
You know, it has happened in, I'm sure, all of our lives. Some devotee might come and tell you, you know, long time ago you said something and that really changed things for me. And we might say, well, I never intended it that way, but if it worked for you, great. So it's like that. Shurpanaka is just getting Khara to get all agitated. She may or may not be intending the whole thing, but that's what's going to happen. Okay, it's 10:16. So let me read this question and we'll end. From Rasika Manjari. Hare Krishna Prabhu. You talked about exclusive shelter of Krishna and another just wouldn't do. In our relationship with devotees who give us shelter, if we feel like that, how should we motivate ourselves to resource with multiple seniors? And if in fact it is necessary? I may not be there for the live Q&A, but we'll hear the recording if you see this question. The exclusivity is not about a particular devotee. The exclusivity is about Krishna. And that the specific is one doesn't go to this demigod, that demigod as an equal or a competitor of Krishna. Now, the question may be, I may feel similarly about a particular devotee, and I may not feel the need for, you know, whole range of different devotees. If that's great, and someone's happy, sheltered, and inspired, and that inspiration continues, great. Raghunath Das Goswami was handed to Swarup Damodar, and he was just happy there. It didn't mean that other devotees were not inspiring. It didn't mean that their words did not carry weight, but his affection or whatever fidelity was exclusively to Swarup Damodar Goswami. And that was fine. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in fact, would refer to Raghunath as Swarupa's Raghunath. Someone may feel like that, great. Someone may feel inspired by multiple devotees, such that their attraction to their Ishtadeva in the form of Sri Krishna or Krishna in Dwaraka or Sri Ramachandra, Varaha, Vamana, Narasimha, whoever gets strengthened, great there too. One doesn't mean the exclusion of the other this way or that way. Great. Either way, Yena Kena Prakarena Mana Krishna Niveshayet. That's Rupa Goswami's order. So what might work for one may not work for the other. And if it works for you, super. If something else works for another one, such that they need inspiration from different people to feel that, great for that too. I hope that satisfies your question, Rasika Manjari, since you will not be here to say yes or no. I can hear later from you. All right, should we end? Any burning questions? I did not get to tell you about Hanuman's comparison of Sita Devi. These verses have been ringing in my head for 2 weeks. We may have to wait another week to appreciate the fantastic rasa tattva thing in this. Okay, until we meet again, take care. May our exclusivity in Sri Krishna, Sri Ramachandra be inspired. May the different words and glorifications, although perhaps not intended by Shurpanaka, bring out the beauty, power, and magnanimity of Sri Rama and Sri Lakshmana, and the very, very, very merciful Sita Devi, who pretty much is orchestrating all of this to happen. Be our exclusive shelters and exclusive inspirers. Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.